Hey everyone, my name is Jowairia. My family calls me Jerry. Gia is a nickname for my mentor, and that's what I've been known by for a while too amongst friends. Funny thing, my ex used to call me Gia as well, so I tend to avoid introducing myself by that name these days. Most people in my life just call me Jerry, and my nieces call me Jeria. But anyway, that's a little about me. Today I'm here to talk about something that really resonated with me. Uh, it's Brené Brown's Braving the Wilderness, the quest for true belonging and the courage to stand alone. I first came across Brené Brown through her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it yet. Her ideas on vulnerability, courage, and shame just hit me in the heart. So when I saw Braving the Wilderness at Barnes and Noble one day, I didn't hesitate. If Brené Brown wrote it, I knew I needed to read it, and I'm so glad I did. The title itself, Braving the Wilderness, intrigued me, especially the idea of wilderness. It's not just about a physical place. It's about how we navigate the most challenging parts of our inner selves, our emotions, and our relationships. And the core message of this book for me was about belonging, but not in the way most people think. It's not about fitting in. It's about finding a space where you can truly be yourself. Brené Brown has this incredible way of making complex emotional truths feel so accessible. She writes in a way that encourages vulnerability, which is so essential when we're talking about personal growth and connection. And let me just tell you, if you're someone who's ever struggled with feeling like you don't belong, or if you've ever felt disconnected or alone, this book will speak to you. Now let's get into what I think is the most important message of this book: true belonging. Brené Brown explains that true belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world. That hit me hard. It's easy to think about belonging as being accepted by others, but it's actually about being fully accepted by yourself first. Brené emphasizes that true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. This idea of belonging isn't about morphing into someone else or molding ourselves to meet external expectations. It's about standing firm in who you are, as imperfect and messy as that can feel like sometimes, and finding a sense of peace in that. And I think that's what so many of us miss. We're trying to fit in instead of allowing ourselves to stand out by just being ourselves. I think we often look for proof of our self-worth outside of ourselves through likes on social media, validation from our peers, or approval from our families. But what Brené suggests is that we need to stop walking through the world looking for confirmation that we don't belong. As he says in the book, you will always find it because you've made that your mission. Stop scouring people's faces for evidence that you're not enough. You will always find it because you've made that your goal. That was such a powerful reminder for me. If we've conditioned ourselves to search for validation from the world, we will keep finding evidence that we're not enough. But that's because we're not looking in the right place. The truth about who we are doesn't live out there, it's living in our hearts. Brené talks about the wilderness a lot, which I think is such an interesting metaphor. The wilderness isn't just about being physically alone or isolated. It's a symbol for the discomfort of standing alone in your truth, being separate from the herd, and not knowing exactly what's next. It's embracing that discomfort and finding strength in it. Brené writes, "You're only free when you realize that you belong no place. You belong every place. No place at all. The price is high, the reward is great." I really had to sit with that one. It's this idea of not needing to belong to any one place or group in order to be at peace with who you are that hit me the hardest. It's hard to grasp, right? Because society often teaches us that we have to be a part of a certain group or tribe to feel accepted. But true freedom, Brené says, comes when we let go of that need and just embrace who we are wherever we are. In the wilderness, like she says, we may be alone, but we're not alone in our aloneness. That's the paradox. The wilderness is where we find ourselves and where we realize that belonging isn't about fitting in or changing. It's about being ourselves fully. What Brené also beautifully touches on is how vulnerability and courage are connected. There's no courage without vulnerability. Brené says sometimes the most dangerous thing for kids is the silence that allows them to construct their own stories that almost always cast them as alone and unworthy of love and belonging. As someone who has struggled with vulnerability in the past, this hit me in the gut. How often do we internalize things, tell ourselves we don't belong, and never give others the chance to truly see who we are? It's easy to hide our emotions and experiences for the sake of protecting ourselves, but in doing so, we end up creating a story that reinforces our isolation. Vulnerability is, in a sense, the antidote to that self-imposed loneliness. When we open up, when we allow ourselves to be seen, that's when true connection happens. Brené also says, courage is forged in pain, but not in all pain. Pain that is denied or ignored becomes fear or hate. That's another huge takeaway. Pain isn't inherently bad. It's when we deny our pain or don't confront it that it festers into fear and hate. This reminds me that vulnerability isn't just about sharing happy moments. It's about acknowledging the hard parts of life and embracing them as part of the human experience. Only then can we grow. Another profound concept in the book is the idea of dehumanization. Brené highlights that in society, we often dehumanize others in the name of politics, ideology, or even simple disagreements. But as she says, dehumanizing and holding people accountable are mutually exclusive. Humiliation and dehumanizing are not accountability or social justice tools. They're emotionally offloading at best, emotional self-indulgence at worst. In a world where we are constantly bombarded by polarizing opinions, especially on social media, this idea is more important than ever. When we dehumanize someone, whether it's a political figure we disagree with or a person with different views, we reduce them to something less than human. That behavior creates a barrier rather than facilitating understanding. Accountability should not come at the cost of another person's humanity. It should come from a place of empathy and respect. And if we truly believe in creating a more just world, we need to stop reducing others to the other. We need to see their full humanity, even when we disagree with them. There's another piece of wisdom in the book that really made me think. When the culture of an organization mandates that it is more important to protect the reputation of a system and those in power than it is to protect the basic human dignity of the individuals who serve that system or who are served by that system, you can be certain that the shame is systemic and that money is driving ethics and the accountability is all but dead. This is a powerful call for all of us to examine how systems, whether in government, corporations, or even within families, often prioritize appearances and power over basic human dignity. It's a reminder that we can't ignore the human side of things in favor of efficiency or reputation. When systems fail to honor the dignity of people within them, something's really broken. This is the truth we all need to recognize, especially in today's world, where so much of what we see is a show of appearances rather than a focus on human connection. Brené Brown also teaches us that our sense of belonging cannot be based on how others view us. She reminds us the truth about who we are lives in our hearts. Our call to courage is to protect our wild heart against constant evaluation, especially our own. No one belongs here more than you. That quote really hit home for me. How often do we evaluate ourselves through a lens of criticism or comparison? We look at other people and think we don't measure up. But Brené encourages us to stop this cycle and recognize that true belonging comes when we stop evaluating our worth based on external forces. We need to protect our heart from those evaluations, whether they come from others or from ourselves. In Braving the Wilderness, Brené Brown also addresses the issue of polarization in a deeply thoughtful way. She explores how societal and political divisions are becoming increasingly toxic, and how people are often pressurized to either conform to a particular group or to vilify those who don't share their views. One of the central points she makes is that polarization is not just a matter of differing opinions. It's about dehumanization of those who think differently, than us. She writes, when we hear people referred to as animals, aliens, we should immediately wonder, is this an attempt to reduce someone's humanity so we can get away with hurting them or denying them basic human rights? Brené argues that polarization is dangerous because it leads us to reduce others to carry creatures or enemies, thus justifying harmful behavior toward them. In a polarized world, we are less likely to engage in open, respectful dialogue and more likely to resort to shaming, dehumanizing, and vilifying those with opposing viewpoints. This, she asserts, leads to greater isolation, disconnection, and misunderstanding. She also critiques how, in polarized environments, people can lose sight of shared humanity, focusing more on group identity rather than individual values. She encourages readers to move beyond the echo chambers of their own group and and seek connection even with those they disagree with. She writes, not enough of us know how to sit in pain with others. Worse, our discomfort shows up in ways that can hurt people and reinforce their own isolation. Brené urges that rather than retreating into isolated ideological camps, we need to lean into discomfort, be vulnerable in our interactions, and practice empathy toward those we find hardest to understand. True belonging for her means engaging with the wilderness of difference and diversity, standing firm in your own values, but also being willing to connect with the others who stand in different places. Essentially, her take on polarization is that it diminishes the quality of our interactions and undermines the possibility for meaningful change. It's not about being right or wrong, it's about being human and learning how to engage with each other in our full humanity without reducing another to labels or enemies. And to wrap this up, one of my favorite thoughts from the book is when Brené says, I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hate so stubbornly is because they sense once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. That thought blew me away. It blew my mind. So many times we hold on to anger or hatred because we don't want to confront the deeper emotions and vulnerability that lies beneath it. But real courage comes when we allow ourselves to face those emotions and to stand in the discomfort of our own truth. The truth is painful, and it's also where healing begins. To sum it all up, Braving the Wilderness is more than just a book. It's an invitation to stop searching for external validation and instead begin the journey of belonging to yourself. It's a reminder that true belonging doesn't require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. Brené calls to courage, asks us to step into the wilderness, not to isolate ourselves, but to find freedom in standing alone with our truth, vulnerability, and humanity. I'll leave you with this final thought from the book. The truth about who we are lives in our hearts. Our call to courage is to protect our wild heart against constant evaluation, especially our own. No one belongs here more than you. That's something we all need to hear. So if you're looking for a book that challenges you to rethink how you define belonging and how you navigate vulnerability, I highly recommend Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown. It will make you reflect on your own path and hopefully help you embrace your own wild heart. Just one 20-minute video is not enough to do justice to this book. I can go on and on. Going forward, I'm going to make a video discussing each chapter separately. So until next time, bye, and don't forget to subscribe or hit the like button. Thank you.